Does anyone want to host the Winter Olympics? It's a provocative question, and it may sound like a silly question given that we have the 2026 Winter Olympics forthcoming in Milan, and then in the French Alps in 2030, and back to Salt Lake City in 2034. But as you see in this video, you will follow some of the challenges of simply hosting a Winter Olympic Games. Hello and welcome to the channel at Duerr, where I examine the intersection of sports, politics, and international relations. I do so given my 4-season semi-professional soccer career and now as an academic who teaches political science. Let's dig into some of the details of the Winter Olympic Games. For the record, I love the Winter Olympic Games. It's full of very interesting sports like skiing, bobsled, and ice hockey. Originating in 1924, the Winter Olympic Games has been held historically in the same calendar year as the Summer Olympic Games. This changed after 1992 when Albertville, France hosted the Winter Olympic Games. It was then followed up by Barcelona in Spain in the summer. But then in 1994 in Lillehammer, Norway, the Winter Olympics was then held and has been held from 1998, 2002 and onwards through next year in 2026. And so it's a fascinating event, but in recent cycles, a lot of cities have stopped really bidding. And as such, hence the question for today, does anyone want to host the Winter Olympic Games? The major issues started in 2018 when Pyeongchang hosted the Winter Olympic Games in South Korea. And after that, for 2022, no cities really wanted to host. It was between Beijing in China and Astana in Kazakhstan. And that doesn't sound like an issue off the top of the head. However, the problem is that Olympic Games are supposed to rotate between continents. And so with one in 2018 in Pyeongchang, the next one should have been in Europe or North America or somewhere else, but no cities in either of those continents or anywhere else in the world wanted to host. And so 2022 became this strange competition between China and Kazakhstan that no one really wanted. In hosting an Olympic Games, there are obviously myriad factors involved, but the big one is cost. And if we go back in time a little bit, we can see how that has escalated very significantly. In 2002, for example, in Salt Lake City, Utah in the United States, the Olympic Games cost $13 billion to host in US dollars. However, bear in mind that was only about 6 months after 9/11, and so security was at a premium. However, by 2014 in Sochi, Russia, the bill had escalated to $51 billion. Now that's a massive jump, and in part Vladimir Putin used it as a showcase to build a city, Sochi, that used to be a sleepy getaway for Russian elites, into a vibrant city on the Black Sea. And so that was massively expensive, but the costs continue to go up. And even though the $51 billion price tag hasn't been met yet either, it still is an issue for many cities and their respective city councils, mayors, etc., as they look to host a Winter Olympic Games. Good news for the Winter Olympics is that its docket is set for 2026, 2030, and 2034. However, the same issues have plagued the Winter Olympics in terms of bidding. France won in 2030, for example, against 4 other bids, but they were limited. In 2026, Turin won, but it only had 1 competitor. And in 2034, Salt Lake City won without real competition, even though a range of different cities thought about putting in a bid. And so as we move forward towards 2026, the good news for the Winter Olympics is that there's a lot ahead, but the question still remains, does anyone want to host the Winter Olympics? It'll be key in 2038, 2042, and thereafter. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you found the information informative. If you're interested, try taking a look at another video from this channel.